crikey! Did you know these amazing birds, the Sumatran hornbills, have eyelashes? Real proper eyelashes, just like you and me, but way cooler because they're on a hornbill, one of nature's most spectacular creations. It's one of the first things you might notice if you're lucky enough to spot one, these long, beautiful lashes that give them such a knowing, intelligent look. These aren't just for show, mind you, not at all. They help keep dust and little bits of the jungle out of their precious peepers when they're flying through the thick Sumatran rainforest. What a clever bit of nature's design, eh? Absolutely brilliant, a true testament to adaptation. These incredible birds are just full of surprises from the get-go. Real characters of the avian world they are, and absolute stunners too. Now, let's talk about what these magnificent creatures, the Sumatran hornbills, actually look like, because they are truly something else. They are big birds, really impressive in size. Not some little sparrow flitting about, that's for sure. We're talking about a bird that can have a wingspan of over a meter. Most of their feathers are a sleek, glossy black, making them look quite distinguished, almost like they're wearing a fancy tuxedo out in the dense jungle. But then, whoosh, as they fly, you might see brilliant flashes of white, especially on their long tail feathers and wingtips, which can be quite long and striking when they're soaring majestically above the rainforest canopy. They've got this powerful presence, a real king or queen of the treetops. And when you see one, you definitely know it's something incredibly special, a true icon of Sumatra's wild heart. But the real showstopper, the bit that makes everyone go wow, is their casque. That's the big, often unbelievably colorful structure that sits proudly on top of their massive bill. It looks like a horn, which is exactly where they get their name, Hornbill, see? For the Sumatran hornbill, and there are a few different types of hornbills out there, this casque can be a stunning mix of yellows, oranges, and even deep reds, a true work of art painted by nature herself. It's not just for looking pretty and attracting a mate, though that's part of it. Scientists reckon it also helps make their calls louder, acting like a natural megaphone, so their booming calls can echo for miles through the dense forest. It can also be a sign of strength and maturity, helping them show off to other hornbills. What an incredible, multi-purpose bit of headgear. Absolutely unique. And that bill itself, underneath that spectacular casque, is a serious tool, a piece of natural engineering. It's long, curved downwards, and super strong, perfectly designed for plucking ripe fruits from high branches, and even for catching small animals if they get the chance. You might think such a big bill and casque would be incredibly heavy, weighing their heads down, but the casque is actually quite light for its size. It's made of a spongy bone material on the inside, covered in a layer of keratin, which is the same stuff our fingernails and hair are made of. They also have incredibly strong neck muscles to support that impressive headgear and allow them to toss food back into their throats with a quick flick. These birds are built tough, perfectly adapted for their jungle life. Every little bit of them designed for survival and success in the wild. Truly magnificent, aren't they? So where can you find these incredible Sumatran hornbills, these feathered wonders of the forest? Well, their name gives you a big clue. The beautiful island of Sumatra in Indonesia. That's their main stomping ground, their ancestral home. They're true jungle dwellers, absolutely loving the lush, dense, ancient rainforests that blanket large parts of the island. You won't find them scratching around on the ground, much like a chicken. Oh no, not these guys. These beauties are kings and queens of the canopy, living way up high in the tallest trees, sometimes hundreds of feet above the forest floor. They need those big, old, mature trees for everything, for finding their favorite fruity foods, for building their unique nests, and for feeling safe from any dangers that might be lurking down below. The treetop world is their kingdom, their home sweet home, a vibrant green paradise teeming with life. These hornbills aren't usually lonely wanderers, drifting through the forest all by themselves. They're quite social birds, believe it or not, with strong family ties. You'll often spot them in pairs, a devoted husband and wife team, and sometimes they even hang out in small family groups, especially when there's a lot of food around, like a fruiting fig tree. They form really strong pair bonds, these partnerships often lasting for life, which is just beautiful, isn't it? True love in the jungle, a real commitment. You might hear them calling to each other across the canopy, these loud, distinctive honking or braying calls that echo through the trees for long distances. It's their way of saying, "I'm over here, mate," or "This is our patch, stay away." Communication is key, even for hornbills, helping to keep the family unit together and defend their territory. A typical day for a Sumatran hornbill is a busy one, full of important bird business from sunrise to sunset. They wake up with the sun, or even a little before, ready to start their search for a yummy breakfast to get them going. A lot of their day is spent foraging, which means searching for food. They'll be flying from tree to tree, using their keen eyesight to spot ripe fruits and other tasty morsels hidden amongst the leaves. You'll see them making these powerful, deep, swooping flights above the rainforest, their huge wings making a distinctive whoosh, whoosh sound that you can sometimes hear even before you see the bird itself. And of course, there's a lot of calling, those characteristic sounds that are an integral part of the jungle's natural soundtrack. Then, as the day winds down and dusk approaches, they'll find a safe roost in a tall, sturdy tree to spend the night, resting up for another adventurous day. Now, their nesting habits are absolutely fascinating, truly one of the most amazing and unique stories in the entire bird world. When it's time to raise a family, the female hornbill finds a big hole in a tree, a natural cavity that's just the right size. Then get this, she seals herself inside. She uses a mixture of mud, her own droppings and fruit pulp to build a wall, closing up the entrance to the nest hole until only a tiny, narrow slit is left open. The male is a super dad, a real champion. He takes on the massive responsibility of feeding her, and later, the chicks through that little slit for several months. She stays in there, safe and sound from predators, incubating the eggs, and then looking after the young ones until they're big enough to fledge. It's an incredible display of trust, teamwork, and dedication. A real jungle miracle, showing just how devoted these parents are to their little bubs. Right then, let's talk Tucker. What do these magnificent Sumatran hornbills like to munch on to keep their energy up for all that flying and calling? Well, they are big fans of fruit. Absolutely love it. Can't get enough of it. If you're a fig tree in the Sumatran rainforest, you're basically a hornbill restaurant, a 5-star dining experience, because figs are one of their absolute favorite foods. Figs are a super important part of their diet, packed with energy, water, and all the good stuff they need to stay healthy and strong. They're not overly fussy eaters when it comes to fruit, though. They'll happily gobble up all sorts of berries, drupes, and other juicy jungle treats they can find. They use that big, dexterous bill with surprising delicacy to pluck the fruit right off the branches, tossing it back into their gullet with a deft flick of the head. What a sight to behold. But it's not just fruit on the menu for these clever and adaptable birds. Oh no, they like a bit of variety in their diet. Keeps things interesting and ensures they get all the nutrients they need. Sumatran hornbills are omnivores, which is a fancy word meaning they eat both plants, like all that lovely fruit, and a bit of meat too. So, alongside their fruity feasts, they'll also snack on big insects like juicy beetles, noisy cicadas, and perhaps a grasshopper or two. Nice and crunchy. And if they get the chance, they're not shy about catching small animals like lizards, little snakes, unsuspecting rodents, and even the eggs or chicks of other smaller birds if they can find an unguarded nest. This extra protein is especially important when they're feeding their own rapidly growing youngsters back in that sealed-up nest cavity. They're opportunistic hunters using that powerful bill to make short work of their prey. Resourceful, aren't they? Now here's something truly amazing, something that makes these hornbills incredibly special. They are like the farmers of the forest. Because they eat so much fruit, they swallow a lot of seeds along with the fleshy pulp. But here's the clever bit, they don't digest these seeds. Instead, as they fly from tree to tree, sometimes covering huge distances across the rainforest, they eventually poo out the seeds, or sometimes regurgitate the larger ones, all over the forest floor. This means they're planting new trees wherever they go, helping the rainforest to regenerate, grow, and stay healthy for future generations. They spread the seeds far and wide, much further than the trees could ever hope to disperse them on their own. So, they're not just eating, they're gardening on a massive landscape scale, constantly working to keep the jungle lush, vibrant, and diverse. How incredible is that commitment to their environment, a natural-born conservationist? So you see, The Sumatran hornbill isn't just a pretty face with a fancy hat or a loud voice in the jungle. They're absolutely vital, a cornerstone, for the health of the entire rainforest ecosystem. By spreading those precious seeds, they help maintain the diversity of trees in the forest, ensuring a wide variety of species can thrive. More types of trees mean more homes, more shelter, and more food for countless other animals, from the smallest insects and spiders to monkeys, civets, and other birds. Without these brilliant seed dispersers, the forest wouldn't be as rich, complex, or resilient to change. They are what we call a keystone species, meaning the whole structure and function of their environment heavily depends on them. Losing the hornbills would be a massive, devastating blow to the Sumatran rainforest. A real tragedy for that beautiful green world and all its marvelous inhabitants. They are true forest guardians. Alright, now for the serious bit, the tough stuff that we need to face up to. These magnificent Sumatran hornbills, these incredible characters of the jungle, are facing some real dangers out there. And it breaks your heart, it really does, to think about what they're up against. The biggest threat, the number one enemy by a long shot, is habitat loss. Those beautiful ancient rainforests they call home, the very same forests they help to plant, are disappearing at an alarming rate. People are cutting down the massive trees for timber to sell, to make way for vast palm oil plantations, and for other types of farming and development. When their forest home goes, so does their food supply, their safe nesting spots in those old tree cavities. Absolutely everything they need to survive. It's like someone bulldozing your house, your local supermarket, and your workplace all at once. It's a complete disaster for these birds, pushing them into smaller and smaller fragmented areas with less to eat and fewer places to breed. On top of losing their precious homes, these poor hornbills are also hunted by people. Can you believe it? Such a spectacular bird, and yet some people want to harm them. Some individuals hunt them for their amazing casques, which are unfortunately and tragically carved into ornaments or sometimes mistakenly used in traditional medicine, even though it's often illegal, and there's no scientific proof it even works. That beautiful, unique casque, which is part of what makes them so special and helps them call to their mates, becomes a target for poachers. They are also sometimes hunted for food as bushmeat, especially in areas where other food sources might be scarce. For a bird that reproduces slowly, with that incredible and lengthy nesting strategy where the female is locked away and vulnerable for months, any loss of an adult bird, especially a breeding adult, is a massive blow to their population numbers. It makes it really, really hard for them to bounce back from these kinds of losses. Crikey! We absolutely have to protect these incredible creatures, these living treasures. It's not just about saving a beautiful bird with an outrageous hairdo, it's about saving the entire rainforest ecosystem that they help to build and maintain day in and day out. Remember, they're the farmers of the forest, the seed sowers. If we lose the hornbills, we risk losing the richness, the diversity, and the overall health of the Sumatran jungles, which are some of the most biodiverse places on Earth. And beyond their crucial ecological role, they simply deserve to exist in their own right, just like every other amazing animal that shares this planet with us. They're unique, they're intelligent, they're devoted parents, and they're a true wonder of the natural world, a spectacle to behold. We have a profound responsibility to make sure they're around for our kids and our grandkids to marvel at, soaring above the treetops where they truly belong. So, what can we all do? We can't just sit back and let these beauties disappear. We need to support efforts to protect their rainforest homes by being conscious consumers and saying no to products that contribute to unsustainable deforestation, and by supporting companies that use sustainable practices. We can also help organizations that are working on the ground in Sumatra and other parts of Asia to conserve these birds and their precious habitat through research, anti-poaching patrols, and community engagement. Education is absolutely key, too. Teaching people young and old about how amazing these hornbills are and why they're so vitally important to the forest. We need to be a voice for those who cannot speak for themselves. Let's get passionate, let's get active, for the Sumatran hornbill, for the rainforests, for the future of our beautiful planet. These birds are true jewels, nature's quirky crowned beauties, and it's up to us to be their protectors, their guardians. Let's do it for the hornbills. Woohoo! What a little ripper of a bird, and we're gonna save 'em.